Hello, my friends. How are you today? Thank you so much for coming to spend part of your Friday afternoon with me at lunchtime. I was a little ambitious with 1 o'clock start time, but a couple minutes late, but I'm here. I am hoping that my Long Island friends are in the chat today because we have a lot to talk about with this Gilgo Beach, Long Island serial killer case. Are you out there? Are you guys out there? So as I'm sure you already know by now, on Wednesday, Attorney John Ray and Suffolk County Police Commissioner RODNEY Harrison did a press conference together, during which it was revealed that there are 4 new witnesses that have come forward in the Gilgo Beach case, which connect the current suspect, Rex Heuermann, who is sitting in Suffolk County Jail, with additional victims of the Gilgo Beach unalivings, let's just say for now, because YouTube is getting so strict with their rules that it's getting kind of annoying, because I did a stream the other night on the Maya case, and the second it was posted, it was taken down as being not friendly to advertisers. And within the first 5 minutes, I don't think I said anything. So let's just be careful about the words that we put in the chat, etc., because we don't want YouTube to not push this video out. This is important. This is really important for people who live on Long Island, and we take this case really seriously. And I saw some stuff last night on Court TV that made me so angry that I almost went live at midnight just to talk about it, because I'm like, who are these people that they are calling onto Court TV to opine on this case that we on Long Island have lived with since 1996? So just for a little bit of background, in 1996, a pair of legs washed up on Fire Island in a black trash bag. And that was very disconcerting for those of us who lived on Long Island. In 1996, I was a young mother with 2 young kids, and these were the beaches that we go to. These are our ocean beaches on Long Island. So this was a really scary thing. And I've had some opinions about this case, and I've talked about my opinions on other channels, and I've been sort of brushed aside, and sort of some people got mad at me for expressing my opinions. But as you know, I am not a cupcake. I'm not going to make everyone happy, and I'm not going to not tell you what my opinions are with regard to this case or any other case. My pink sign here says, you cannot make everyone happy. You are not a cupcake. Everyone who knows that, who's a member of my channel, knows we are not cupcakes. We're cupcakes, I guess, in a sense, because we make each other happy and we seem to agree on most things, but we also appreciate respectful debate. Therefore, please do not attack anyone in the chat. You're free to express your opinions, but if you use foul language or you are personally offensive to either myself, my moderators, or anyone else in the chat, you will be timed out. You will be blocked, because we just don't tolerate that here. My mods are the best on YouTube, and they are out there policing that chat. In fact, at least 3 of my moderators are retired law enforcement, so they protect me. And also, Donna Marie, I don't know if you are here, but if you are, I hope you are recovering and feeling a little bit better today after your procedure yesterday. All right, guys. So 1996, these legs wash up on Fire Island, and this begins a whole saga that has been going on for 27 years, with different body parts and bodies being found on Long Island, all around the same strip of the island. I have a graphic here. Let me just pull it up, because it's going to give you a better idea, if you're not familiar with this case, of exactly what we have been dealing with. There's at least 10 bodies, I think, you guys. And It's been disturbing, let's just say, to say the least, for many, many years. And we are finally getting a little bit more information and figuring this out. I've been saying all along that I find it very difficult to believe that there could be more than one serial killer on Long Island dumping bodies in the same place. I've been saying that all along. I've been poo-pooed, I've been laughed at. Oh, the MOs are different. Some of these people were I can't even not say these words anymore. Were okay, cut up into pieces, and yet the GILGO 4 were not. They were wrapped whole in their camouflage burlap, and therefore there's no way that it could be the same person who did all of these killings. It must be at least 2 serial killers on Long Island. And you know what? We're finding out now, thanks to John Ray and the work that he has done by talking to so many witnesses since 2010, when he started representing the family of Shannan Gilbert, that people want to talk to him. They go to him before they go to law enforcement. And I'm not going to tolerate any bashing of John Ray, because I met him in court recently. He's a sweetheart of a guy. I happen to love his sartorial splendor. You may not like his outfits, and you may think he's a little out there, but this guy has been working tirelessly on these cases since 2010, when, as you know, in Suffolk County, the police were not for many years because of who was in charge of the police department in Suffolk County. And he has been working for free. He has spent at least $50,000 of his own money on this case, probably much more, and tireless hours advocating for the victims, for at least the family of Shannan Gilbert. I don't think he represents the family of Jessica Taylor anymore, but he does represent the family of Shannan Gilbert still to this day. So if we look at this graphic, we will see that along this stretch of Ocean Parkway, this is Ocean Parkway, this is the south shore of Long Island right here. This is Ocean Parkway right here. GILGO Beach is in this area. Oak Beach is in this area where Shannan Gilbert went missing. And tell me what the odds are that there's going to be more than one SK, we'll just call him innocent until proven guilty. We're not even saying that it's him, along this stretch of Ocean Parkway. Rex Heuermann has so far been indicted for the unalivings of Megan Waterman, Melissa Barthelemy, and Amber Costello. The grand jury has been convened and has been convened for quite some time. And we've been told that DA Ray Tierney is going to be making an announcement soon with regard to whether or not Heuermann is also going to be indicted for the unaliving of Maureen Brainerd Barnes. So here's the map. Check it out. It doesn't have the dates on it, but we can talk about that a little bit later. So on Wednesday, John Ray did a press conference with Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison, and I just want to play a little bit of that press conference. I'm sure you have all watched it in its entirety, but I want to play a little snippet of it for you as sort of an intro as to what we're getting into here. Yeah, Fuzzy Doxy, I agree with you. He stands out. He is noticeable. I think it's great too. I think it's great. Listen, he's not afraid to speak out. I'll tell you that. He's not afraid to speak out about the corruption in Suffolk County. He's been speaking about it since 2010. A lot of people do not listen to him. They write him off as being crazy. I happen to disagree. So let's take a little look just at the beginning, and then we're going to go back to it. Just let me know that you can hear it.
Today, because new information has arisen in this case from witnesses who were so far unknown. Those witnesses, of which there are 4, have given us statements, 2 of whom have given us affidavits regarding this case, regarding Rex Heuermann and Shannan Gilbert and Karen Vergata. Before I talk about them, first, I want you to be aware that here stands the commissioner, as you know, with me. And up until now, we have not made it known to the public that we have been working together on this case steadily since the time that I came to know Commissioner Harris a year ago, February. Up until that point, the police department was very resistant to receiving any kind of evidence or information from my office from what I was doing. That all changed significantly when Commissioner Harris stepped in and we began to collaborate. And we've collaborated ever since. That collaboration has had fruit. And that fruit, at least, are the witnesses I'm going to be talking about today, as well as other evidence and information which we have shared together and with the police department, therefore with the task force. So,
okay. So John Ray has been working with Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison since February of 2022. You may recall that the new Gilgo Beach Task Force was formed in or about January of 2022 when Ray Tierney was elected and took office as District Attorney of Suffolk County. And Rodney Harrison came from, Scott, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he come from NYPD and was appointed the Suffolk County Police Commissioner? Prior to that, we have learned that there was only one detective assigned full-time to investigating the Gilgo Beach unalivings because, as those of you who live here know, Jimmy Burke was the Suffolk County Police Commissioner beginning in 2012. Before that, I believe he was the chief of detectives. And Jimmy Burke, who was in charge of this investigation back when the original Gilgo 4 were found in 2010, did not want FBI involvement, did not want to really pursue any leads in this case. And in fact, we could say he thwarted the investigation for many, many years until he went to prison. And then the DA, Tom Spoda, went to prison and he's still sitting in prison. And those of us who live here know what has been going on here since 2010 and how these cases were not taken seriously, whether it was because of the occupations of the victims or whether it was because there was involvement by Jimmy Burke and perhaps other higher ups in some of these, let's call them parties that were going on in Oak Beach, and or may have known some of the victims. And you're going to see from the affidavits that we're going to read today, because I haven't seen anybody else from Long Island reading these affidavits to you, that may very well be the case. And people who live here have been screaming about this for years. And there are a lot of you in the chat who know a lot about this, and nobody has ever listened to you, I'm sure, or John Ray. So let's take a look, if we can, at the first affidavit to which they refer. And, you know, I have to say that him having, and you tell me if you think that I'm right, Rodney Harrison standing next to him at this press conference lends a lot more credibility to what he's saying. Would Rodney Harrison be standing next to him at this press conference if he hadn't vetted this information? Would he let John Ray stand there and say all of these things if there wasn't some veracity to them? I don't think so. I don't think so. Ray Tierney wasn't happy about what he did. And we're going to talk about his statement in a little while. But I think it gives John Ray a lot more credibility when he's got the Suffolk County Police Commissioner standing next to him revealing this information. Let me know what you think. Okay, this is the first affidavit from the witness, from the first witness that John Ray refers to in the press conference. And instead of listening to his summary of the affidavit, I think we should read it together, because those of us who have a lot of knowledge of the facts are going to be really interested in what this affidavit says. Now, understand that an affidavit is a sworn statement. The person who is signing this affidavit is doing so under the penalties of perjury. And yes, I call it affidavit. That's what we call it here. Somebody in another video made a comment that I can't possibly be a lawyer because of my pronunciation of the word affidavit. I don't know how they think it's supposed to be pronounced, but that's how we pronounce it here, and that's how I'm going to pronounce it, and I'm not sorry about it. Okay? All right. The first affidavit, and her name is redacted. I, blank, residing at a confidential address, being duly sworn, state as follows. I am over 18 years of age. I reside in the state of New York. I am of sound mind and memory. I have come forward to state facts which I personally know to be true. I have stated these facts to John Ray, Esquire, and in this affidavit. I have asked John Ray to prepare this affidavit to reflect my words and my knowledge. This affidavit contains my words and my knowledge. I have determined to come forward with facts within my knowledge because I wish the truth to be known about Rex Heuermann and others, including his wife, ASA, and as a woman, I believe to have been KAREN VERGATA. I believe that great harm came to that woman I believe to be KAREN VERGATA when she was at the Heuermann home in Massapequa, New York, in or about Valentine's Day in 1996. I feel a heavy responsibility to her. That's why I contacted John Ray. Those of you who are familiar with this case know that KAREN VERGATA disappeared on Valentine's Day in 1996. That was the last day her family ever heard from her. So the timeline tracks. She goes on to say, I am a former swinger. I am 54 years old. A swinger is a person who partners with another person. Then that partnership has, instead of the S word, I'm going to say relations. Okay, so relations, you can read this for yourself. Then that partnership has relations with other partners or groups of partners. I formed a partnership with an NYPD policeman in or around 1996. His name is known to me and to Mr. Ray. I'll call him RW. He had been a police officer assigned in Prospect Park in Brooklyn. He became a detective. He was handsome. I loved that man. We became partners of a swingers club known as Trapeze. Just as a side note, I'm wondering how many of you, after you read this, if you did, were out there Googling trapeze or knew a trapeze. Apparently it was on 27th Street, I believe, not far from Heuermann's office, coincidentally. She goes on to say, I believe it was in Lower Midtown in Manhattan. Relations amongst partners there was common and encouraged, including on the premises. I believe that as many as 300 members and their partners could be there at any time. I and RW went to Trapeze several times and engaged in relations with other couples there several times. I saw others having relations there as well. Relations took place in rooms and in a big room as well. Several members were police officers. Several members were from Long Island. Members were enabled to post messages and to contact information on a wall. Either Rex Heuermann or his wife Asa posted contact information for them in a house in Massapequa Park to engage there in swinger relations in 1996. I and RW chose to go there to the Heuermann home in February of 1996. RW picked up a woman I believe to be KAREN VERGATA in New York City on the way to the Heuermann house. She was hungry and homeless. She sat in the back of the car. She leaned forward and to the right. When we stopped for gas, she said that she was scared. I told her not to be scared because RW was a cop. She couldn't be safer than being with a cop. I told her to ask at the house when we arrived to take a shower and for food. We entered the Heuermann home by walking around the side of it. It was in the night. Inside the house in Massapequa Park, it was dark. KAREN, in quotes, went downstairs. I stayed upstairs with Asa. My partner, who I believe was bisexual, kept disappearing. I believed he was elsewhere in the house, having relations with Rex. I believe I had relations with Rex as well. I never went downstairs. ASA told me words to the effect that Rex brought her from her country and that everything she had, he has given to her. She has said that she was lucky that he was rich. She said she was also afraid of Rex. I do not know if she was truthful. I don't think that I ever went downstairs. I went towards the back of the house asking RW, where are you? He came out from the back, what seemed like from a room. I also saw a Christmas tree on the main floor, yet it was long past Christmas. I wondered why there was still a Christmas tree up. I believe RW and I were there at the Heuermann home on or about Valentine's Day. I believe that because RW and I would swing on holidays like Christmas, Valentine's Day, Halloween, and such other holidays. What better way to celebrate the holidays? I also saw 2 large seashells on a shelf in the house. I recall thinking that they were like shells from the country where I had grown up. The country's name is known to Mr. Ray. I asked ASA if she had friends from my country. I do not remember what she replied. I had also asked ASA if she wished me to perform relations upon her, but she said that she didn't wish that. I recalled that Rex went outside and started a fire in what appeared to be a large barrel. Now remember, this also tracks because his neighbors have been interviewed, and Rex's neighbors say that he was known to have fires in the backyard frequently. And we had wondered, what is he burning back there? What is he getting rid of? Back to the affidavit. RW wished to leave. I went with him to his car. We left from the back door. RW complained that he lost his belt. That's interesting. He went back to the house to retrieve it. I saw the face of the woman I believe to be Karen up against a window at the house. She looked scared. I had a sense that she was calling for help. I told RW of this. The woman I believe to be Karen suddenly ran outside naked and ran about by the garage. RW had gone to the back of the house to look for his belt, but he was then back in the car. RW told me not to worry about her, that she was okay. They were only playing a game. We left without her. I felt uneasy that we left without the woman. I saw Rex on TV recently and a picture of Karen Vergata. I recognized her as the woman who RW and I brought to Heuermann's home. I was shocked and deeply sorrowful for having left her behind at Heuermann's house. I told John Ray of these things because I needed to speak to him so that Karen would not be left behind again. This was signed and sworn to and notarized on August 31st of 2023. I think I need to go to the chat because I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Carly, a lot of stuff in this affidavit has already been stated by other people. I'm not sure what you mean. Other people that on YouTube that have talked about the affidavit, other people who were also there on Valentine's Day. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Hello, Roger. And thank you for your $5 super chat. So much disinformation. Keep after it. John Ray rocks. Yes, I think so too. I think he's worked tirelessly. Hi, Linda Vergata. Thank you for becoming a member. I don't know if you're related to Karen Vergata, but if you are, my thoughts and prayers go out to you. Linda Vergata, thank you for your $10 super chat as well. I love you and your channel. Very interested in this case. Thank you. So are we. And Calla Lily, one of my favorite flowers, as you know. Thank you so much for your $9.99 super sticker. I appreciate you. So, we say howdy here, much easier to follow in this way than it was to listen to the press conference. Yeah, listen, I've been doing this for 30 years. He's been doing this better than I am. I think that we need to cut the guy a little bit of slack. He goes off on some tangents. He maybe can't think of the right word and says the wrong word sometimes. And I do that all the time too. And people in the comments are constantly correcting me when every single time I use the wrong word. But I'm going to say, try to sit here for 2 hours, at least 2 hours, because sometimes I go 4 hours, and talk unscripted and get all of your words right and all of your names right and all of your dates right when you have so many things in your head and you're covering so many different cases. So let's cut me a little bit of slack, huh? A little bit of grace. That would be nice. Thank you. Hey, Missy Minx, I'm surprised you recognized her. They kept showing her grade school photos. You know, it looks like a grade school photo, but I think she may have been older. That was kind of the style maybe back then with those pigtails. I know what you're talking about, but there was also another photo of her older that was floating around. And so she may have, you know, recognized her from that. She may have also recognized Heuermann once his picture was shown in the paper, and didn't forget him. And I'm not surprised by that because a lot of people didn't forget him. All right. This is what I saw last night on Court TV. So you guys tell me what you think of this. This is Vinnie Politan and his think tank telling us what they think about this first affidavit. And made me a little bit mad, gotta be honest. So he talked about this first affidavit that we just read, and then he has this to say with his think tank.
And the accused Long Island serial killer. Let's bring back in our think tank. Daryl Cohen, Molly Palmer, Meg Strickler. What do you think about this?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I don't know if I believe it. I hate to say
Meg's
it.
not believing it. Why not?
Because why are we coming up now? That Shannan Gilbert, when it happened, was all over the news, all over everything. And she doesn't go to the police. There's no police.
Okay, wait, hold on. They're talking about Shannan Gilbert right now. I have to go to the part where they're talking about this affidavit because I remember now that I did them in reverse order. So let me go to that piece of the think tank. Live TV, guys, it happens.
Let's bring back in the think tank. Believe this one?
When was this affidavit given? How much time elapsed between this young lady?
1996
Uh-huh.
to 2023.
Oh, my memory's
I
so much
can't do
better
it.
now after only
27 years.
20, my memory's so much better. And I came out early on.
You're not buying it.
I wouldn't even rent it, not even for a minute.
Agreed.
Agreed. And here's the main issue with these new affidavits. From whom do they come? Not the official
A
investigation.
former swinger.
Well, yeah. Listen, I'm not doubting that the accused might have been a former swinger. I mean, that is what it is. But these affidavits and their connection to these murders are tenuous because they come from the victim's family's attorney, not the prosecuting attorney. And
Right.
after these affidavits were revealed during a press conference, the district attorney said, look, you can't trust somebody who's not part of our investigative team. We're the ones conducting this case, this investigation.
I
and it
will
should
say
come
this,
from
though.
us.
In defense of Johnny Ray, he was working this case a lot harder than the original investigators in the case.
Well, that's going to be a problem when the case gets to trial. That's a whole separate issue. But the reality is that Mr. Johnny Ray, and I'll give my respects to him as well, is not part of the official investigation of this case.
Yeah.
And so these...
No, but Rodney Harrison is. He's the head of the Gilgo Beach Task Force, and he's standing next to Johnny Ray, as she calls him, at this press conference. So tell me if you think that gives it a little bit more credibility. Tenuous? It's tenuous. Why? Karen Vergata was just identified as being Jane Doe number 7 in August of this year. It was just made public. So that's when her picture came out into the news. I wish that people who actually came on the news did as much due diligence as I do before I even come on here to just do my own show for free to people on the internet. This is disturbing to me. As Jerry Seinfeld would say, who are these people? Who are these people?
You know, they're coming from the perspective of a civil lawyer who's representing the families.
I say a swinger belongs with the Mets or the Yankees or the Braves of swinging a bat. I don't buy this, not at all. Way too long, not from the right investigative.
No, two of them have Southern accents, so they're not even from here. I don't even know how familiar they are with the case. But if you live here and you're familiar with this case like I am, does this insult you? Or just make you mad? Or am I being overly sensitive?
Agency. Johnny Ray is
And
a
if you
small ray
believe
on
it,
this
if
one.
you believe it, they just left them. The last sentence you had highlighted says, "And we left."
They left.
That doesn't make any
They left the
sense.
three of them there because one of them's a cop. He said everything's all going to be all right.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the swinger with the cop said, okay, the cop said it's okay, so I'm okay, let's go.
You know.
That's not protecting and serving.
No,
if you're
it
at a
is not.
swingers party as a cop.
No,
and
but it's
somebody
a
is-
cop who doesn't want all this to come out. Now, let me ask you this. According to this affidavit, the accused Long Island serial killer's wife
I was
was
wondering if you
there,
would ask about that.
was at the house.
That I believe.
What happens now? Does the DA bring her in for questioning?
She
Absolutely.
knew a whole bunch of stuff. She may
Well,
not
does the
have.
DA bring her in for questioning, and can she take the fifth?
Yeah, she has
Yes.
marital privilege.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know that she
No,
can-
the privilege is broken if everybody's swinging.
I don't think that's how
Are they
marital
If
swinging?
everybody's
privilege
swinging, it's
works.
broken.
If they're swinging
No,
with fences,
but
it's
all
a
these
marriage.
things that are happening, these aren't communications, private communications between husband and wife. This is a swingers party.
No,
Let's let the DA's office bring her in, question her, see what, if anything, she has to say, and then throw it out.
Okay, so yeah, let's just throw it out. Let's just throw it out because of who these people are. This is insulting to me, not only because of what they said about, you know, the swingers and their lifestyle and whatever, but also because in the beginning, these cases were not taken seriously, many people think, because of the occupation of the victims. So this is disturbing to me on a lot of levels. Somebody says those are not Southern accents. They sound Southern to me just because I have a New York accent. So I don't know what their accents are, honestly. But I just know, sorry, Dog Defender wasn't Southern, but clearly disconnected. Somebody says Georgia. Yeah. Does anybody know if Vinny films his show in Atlanta or if he's in New York? So I'm thinking like, call somebody from Long Island that's been on this case, like me. Although I don't want to go sit on a couch there, but I'll zoom in. No, you're on target. Thanks, Sue. Thank you, Stephanie. Roger says this guy's a dope. Team Brittany, hello. He will buy it later. We'll wait. Yeah. Yeah. So, but what this affidavit does, which is a sworn statement that is given under penalties of perjury. And I believe, oh no, this is not the one that Rodney Harrison was there for the signing of the affidavit. But if you watch the press conference, you will see that he was involved in this in some way. Puts ASA at the scene. Puts Karen Vergata in Heuermann's house on the night that she went missing, Valentine's Day of 1996. Puts them going into the basement because you remember in the basement, they found, when the police were executing the search warrant of the Heuermann home, a room, some people have called it a vault, with something like 279 guns and a mattress. Go back and watch my other videos. The reporters repeatedly asked DA Tierney at the press conference about a mattress being found in the vault, and he will not address the question. Who knows what went on down there? We can't speculate. We still don't have the list of items that they took from the home when they executed that search warrant. Hi, Noise fam. I don't understand. She saw the photo and it triggered her memory and she knew. I agree. I had someone on a show, and that's also in the playlist, who came on my show. I did a call in where people called in, and happy accident, she called in. She was a dealer at Mohegan Sun Casino 20 years ago. And she told us that she dealt blackjack to Rex Heuermann for 8 hours straight. He sat at her blackjack table and taunted her for 8 hours straight and said she would never forget his face. And that was 20 years ago. So, you know, something like that happens, traumatic in your life. I don't understand why people, especially people like this that are coming on the show as quote experts and legal analysts, can't understand that this might possibly be true. Mind-boggling. Let's take a look at the second affidavit now. Okay, this is the second witness. And I believe this is the witness, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that Rodney Harrison was also there and interviewed this person in John Ray's office when this affidavit was signed. Going back to my notes, the first witness that we just read, who identified Karen Vergata and going to Heuermann's home, was interviewed by John Ray for 9 hours. This is affidavit number 2. Blank, being duly sworn, deposes and says, 1, I am blank years old. Redacting, obviously, to protect the identity of this person. My date of birth is blank. I reside at blank. I once lived in Suffolk County, New York. I'm giving this affidavit of my own free will. I am not under duress, nor coercion, nor the undue influence of anyone. I contacted John Ray, Esquire, by telephone on September 15th of 2023. I did so because I am aware that John Ray has been representing the family of Shannan Gilbert. I trust him. I had seen him on TV. I'm aware that John Ray has drafted the words in this affidavit. He has done so with my consent and at my direction. After an extensive conversation I had with John Ray regarding that which is contained in this affidavit. The words herein accurately reflect my knowledge and information. I adopt the words in this affidavit as my own words. Paragraph 2. In or about October of 2009, I was a taxi driver in Suffolk County, New York. I was employed as a taxi driver by Colonial and other companies at that time. I believe my employer was located in Sayville, New York. My employer's dispatcher directed me at that time to drive to a little road off Ocean Avenue in Ronkonkoma to pick up a customer. This place was a bar not far from exit 59 of the Long Island Expressway. I was to have picked up a person named Matt. 3. When I arrived at the bar, I observed an extraordinarily large man wearing an army-like fatigue jacket crouching down on a very small street next to the bar where I had pulled up. He rose so that I observed his immense size. He approached my cab. He appeared to be wearing jeans and a white t-shirt. His hair was more or less light-colored but not blonde. He was a white man. I had been told by my dispatcher the place of destination for this customer, but I no longer can recall that location. This large man approached my taxi to enter it. His words to me seemed arrogant. He entered into the rear of my taxi. He sat in the rear seat, on the edge of the seat, and in the middle of it. He said to me words to the effect that, quote, we are going for a long ride in the woods, end quote, and indicated that we had to pick up a girl who was in a house across the street from the bar. My taxi was stopped very close to that house on a very narrow side street. I could see a white girl in the window in that house. I believe the window in the house where I saw the girl was open. 4. I told the large man that I could not take him on the trip he had indicated and that I had to clear it with my dispatcher. He argued with me. He said words to the effect that, are you being a smartass? As we argued, he said to me that he wanted to kill me if I would just give him a reason to do so. He insisted that he wanted to kill me. I heard him click a gun. While this occurred, I could hear my dispatcher yelling words to the effect that, quote, "You've got a gun on my driver. I see you. I got a call in," end quote, to someone. I said words to the effect that, quote, "I don't even know you," end quote. The large man had a sort of identification chain hanging on him, but I could not see the full ID. I asked him if he was a cop. He said he was a cop. When I asked him where he was a cop, he replied, "Brooklyn." 5. I told the large man to just get out of my car and I would not press charges. Then a man who I subsequently took to be the girl's boyfriend, as told to me later on by the dispatcher, pulled into the house's driveway. I turned off the car. I said that I was not moving, that I was not driving from this spot. This is a pretty brave woman, cab driver, I gotta say. I told him that he could have the keys and take the car and he could have my money. I asked him, would he speak to his mother that way? He replied with intense anger that, quote, "My mother is dead," end quote. My dispatcher said to him to just walk away. The large man stepped out of the car. He leaned into the front passenger window. The dispatcher told me that the large man asked the boyfriend and girl for a ride, to which one of them replied words to the effect that, quote, "No, the cops are on their way," end quote. The large man went into a nearby wooded area and shot off his gun 2 times, according to the dispatcher. I had already started the car and I had already driven down the street when the large man did whatever the dispatcher told me that he did. Paragraph 6. This is where it gets interesting. As I drove down the street, a Suffolk County police officer in a white and blue police car approached from the other direction with no headlights nor any siren. The officer had dark hair, appeared to be in his 30s in age. I told the police officer that the large man had pulled a gun. The officer told me that he was responding to a call, that the dispatcher had called in, and a girl had also called in. I said to him words to the effect that, quote, "He's one of yours. He's had a bad night. He pulled a gun." The officer's vehicle then creeped down the street past my car. Paragraph 7. I drove away to other calls. I told my family members about this incident, including my nephew, who was a police officer, and I told my sister of the event described above. This is important because people are going to say, why did she wait so long to report this? Why didn't she call the police all the way back in 2009 when this is alleged to have happened? And number one, she did report it to a police officer who happened to be on the scene. And number 2, contemporaneous with this incident, she told other family members and her nephew, who was a police officer. So there are other witnesses who she relayed this story to back at the time of the events. She goes on to say, recently I saw Rex Heuermann on TV. He was the large man I encountered in the incident described above, and he was the large man I saw in the incident I described below. I was afraid of him. I now know him to be known as Rex Heuermann. Number 8, paragraph 8, she's going to describe another incident that happened about 3 weeks before the incident we just read. Paragraph 8. In another incident, which preceded the one above by at least several weeks, my dispatcher sent me to pick up a passenger at the Sayville Motor Lodge on Sunrise Highway. I was told by my dispatcher that the prospective passenger had asked for a female driver and that she had locked herself in a bathroom in a room at the motel. I drove in behind the motel. I saw a dark, apparently greenish gray SUV on a side street near to the motel. Now remember, Heuermann at the time had a green first-generation Chevy Avalanche, and that information has been in the police file since the last person to see Amber Costello alive gave the police a description of what turned out to be Heuermann and his vehicle. She goes on to say, I drove into the parking lot to the left. I looked for the correct room number. When I located it, I blew my car's horn and flashed my lights at the room. I did these things on and off for 7 to 8 minutes. No one had come out of the room. Number 9. Then a very large man came out. He appeared to have a bit of a belly. He ran to the side street. He tried to block his face with his arms. Then a girl ran out. She was petite. She was crying and shaking. She entered my taxi in the rear right seat. She said that we had to get away from there. I noticed that one of her eyes had something defective about it, that it appeared to droop. Her hair was pulled back neatly, like a ballerina would have done. She wore jeans and a shirt. She was not dressed provocatively. She said that she was glad that she had gotten me as a driver. 10. The girl told me that she had met the large man on Craigslist. He befriended her, she said. She said that he had said to her that he would take care of her mom, her sisters, and her boyfriend. She said that he placed a thick white envelope on the nightstand in the room. She said that he told her that whatever happens tonight, this envelope was for her and her family. But she said she saw rage in his face. She said that when he went to the bathroom, she looked in the envelope. She said that the envelope was filled with cut up paper. She said that he shook her and that she was aggravated. She said that he got aggressive, so she ran into the bathroom and locked herself in there. She said that he banged on the door. Paragraph 11. The girl never told me her name. I believe the incident took place when it was still a little warm outside. The girl wore a little light jacket, a dark color. She had a pocketbook which was not large. She said that, quote, they were always calling her to come out to Long Island. She said that she did not want to come out to Long Island. Remember now, this harkens back to to Shannan Gilbert's 911 call. They are after me. They are trying to kill me. She told me about her family, including her sisters and her mother. She said that as to her mother, I would not be able to understand her situation with her mother. Much of our conversation took place at the Sayville Motor Lodge or at the Ronkonkoma train station. She had a long wait in order to take the 2 a.m. train to New York City. She had a distinctive voice. She was articulate. She paid for the ride and tipped me $5. She then sat with another taxi driver in his car waiting for the train because I had to pick up other customers. 12. I saw her on TV where she was identified as Shannan Gilbert. I am certain that the girl was Shannan Gilbert. I recognized her unusual eye droop and her voice. Her story she told me of her family matched the family of Shannan Gilbert. Rex Heuermann appeared to me to be the very big man I saw coming from the motel room I mentioned in my affidavit. I recognized Shannan Gilbert. I told my dispatcher of this incident. I also told the female manager at the Sayville Motor Lodge of this incident. The manager appeared to be a native of India. I told other taxi drivers of this incident. So again, these are all contemporaneous with the event, showing she told people right away what happened. She's not all of a sudden in 2023 remembering these events and coming forward. The dispatcher had the telephone number of the large man. I called the police tip line when Rex Heuermann was arrested. I spoke with a young woman and told her the basic facts, which I knew. I spoke twice with the tip line that day. I have never received a return call. This was signed and sworn to in front of a notary on September 20th of 2023. Let's go to the comments. But first of all, let me give you my thoughts. Because I've been saying this all along and everybody's been telling me I'm crazy. I said, I think there's a connection between Heuermann and Shannan Gilbert. They have ruled Shannan Gilbert's death an accident, as you recall. Shannan Gilbert went missing. I'm going to go back to my notes now. Shannan Gilbert went missing May 1st of 2010. This witness says this incident happened in the fall, I think, of 2009. Gives Shannan Gilbert a connection to Heuermann. Shannan Gilbert went missing after meeting with her client, Joseph Brewer, at his home in Oak Beach Association. 2 days later, her mother received a call from Dr. Peter Hackett asking if Shannan was there. Those 911 calls are out there. They're chilling. Shannan's body was not discovered until December of 2011. We've got swinger parties at Heuermann's house going all the way back to 1996. We've got Karen Vergata at Heuermann's house. We've got ASA at Heuermann's house participating in these swinger parties, gatherings, whatever you want to call them. We've got a connection now with Heuermann and Shannan Gilbert. If Heuermann was a member of this, quote, swinger community, and some of the other members of this, quote, swinger community were in Oak Beach, opens up a whole lot of questions. A whole lot of questions. Let's go back to Vinny's think tank to see what Vinny's think tank thinks of this witness's affidavit and information.
Strickler, what do you think about this?
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
I don't know if I believe it. I hate to say
Meg's
it.
not believing it. Why not?
No. Because why are we coming up now? That Shannan Gilbert, when it happened, was all over the news, all over everything. And she doesn't go to the police. There's no police report then of having seen a large man. Any of this storyline. All of a sudden we hear it now.
So you don't like the timing because
Correct.
it wasn't as big a story, though. The GILGO 4 didn't feature Shannan because she
I
was
understand.
never found.
But she was it was out there and it was in the news and they were putting out signs and such.
Okay, let me get to the second affidavit from an unnamed person.
Well, he only lets one person talk. She doesn't believe it. Those of you who live here know that Shannan Gilbert was not that big of a story when she went missing in 2010. These people have no reason to come forward. They're non-party witnesses. Especially if somebody is going to come out and say that they were a swinger, that might be an embarrassing thing to admit to. She told other people about her interactions with Shannan Gilbert at the time. Hi, Ginger Snaps. Ginger Snaps. People who talk about documents they haven't read makes me angry. Yes. Why don't you do your due diligence? George Washington. PC Harrison would not have a presser with John Ray if he didn't want to have a presser with John Ray. It's that simple. Yeah. And we know that because John Ray has been out there flapping in the wind by himself since 2010. Nobody has sat with him at a press conference except for some clients that he's had sit with him. Do you remember that old interview that he had of an escort who came out to say that Jimmy Burke, former Suffolk County police chief, had been violent with her and that she had been called to parties where he was a guest and been violated by several members of the Suffolk County Police Department, including Jimmy Burke? He did that press conference with that woman who came forward. He's been doing this for 13 years and nobody's been listening. And now he's got the Suffolk County Police Commissioner standing next to him. So that is crazy. Jerry, yes, Jerry Donaldson Sellers. I don't know how anybody can listen to Shannan's 911 call and then she ends up on a live and not think it's suspicious. Yep. And very recently, They have said that they have reinvestigated Shannan Gilbert's death, and they are still calling it an accident, saying that she must have wandered out into the marsh, hit her head, and died in 2 inches of water. And her clothes were found some distance from her body. And her body was never found in 2010. In fact, the GILGO 4 bodies were found because there was a police officer out there with a cadaver dog doing training exercises looking for Shannan Gilbert. And that's when the GILGO 4 bodies were found in 2010. December of 2010, which was 3 months. When did Shannan go missing? No, Shannan went missing in May. The GILGO 4 were discovered in December. Do the math on that. Shannan Gilbert's body was not there. They looked for Shannan Gilbert. They didn't find her body until December of 2011, right near the house from where she went missing, coincidentally. I've been thinking that that whole story was stinking for quite some time, and I know that you guys have been too. Hi, Tara Mama. Why does no one want to think this could actually be that crazy and gross? Please, the world is a sick place. Worse happens. Yep. Hi, sharing creates, and thank you for becoming a channel member. We're going to have so much fun. Thanks, Monique, also for becoming a channel member. This is going to be lots of fun, guys. I only started this channel at the end of June of this year, and we are growing so quickly and to such a nice community that I'm loving it. I'm loving it here with you guys. Team Brittany, yes, in the marsh behind the doctor's house, the only place they refused to search. Yes. So crazy. All of this is so crazy. Yes, Ann Bazzarelli. John Ray told Chris Cuomo back in August he had witnesses to prove that ASA was involved. And again, everyone excoriated this man. They made fun of him, John Ray. They mocked him. Little did they know that he was working with Rodney Harrison behind the scenes since February of 2022. And he did have the receipts on this. It's a shame. Hello, Hudson. It's understandable, too, that this witness would be careful who she talked to, since people related to this case have a tendency to disappear. That is right. That is correct. Hi, just Samantha. Anyone else thinks that Rex is the Atlantic City killer? Google the drawings they found near the crime scene. I 100% think it's Rex. I did a show on this a long time ago. Months ago, I did a show on this. Go look for it. It's called something like The Eastbound Strangler. And I went through all the similarities between the Atlantic City 4 and the GILGO 4. And I, too, think that he is connected to that. And the way that they, so quickly dismissed Shannan Gilbert this year as to still being an accident, and so quickly dismissed the fact that he could in any way be related to the GILGO, to the Atlantic City 4, makes me wonder, again, am I in the Twilight Zone? Guys, am I in the Twilight Zone? Because now we got Rex Heuermann going back all the way to 1996. At least knowing Karen Vergata, we have no evidence that he unalived her. But he at least knew her. She was at his house. She happens to go missing the same day she's at his house. Occam's razor. Usually the simplest explanation is the best and the right one. Let's go and listen to, John Ray has 2 more witnesses, because we're not done yet. 2 more witnesses, and he did not get affidavits from them because I believe that he only spoke with them on the phone. And if I could find my notes, I could find out where that is. Okay, let me get to witness number 3, and we'll just let him tell us what witness number 3 has to say. And I'm not surprised by this, because John Ray has been such a fierce advocate for the victims since 2010 that there are certain people who would feel more comfortable coming to him and telling him about it because he's going to sit there and listen to them. I'm sure he gets, 100 phone calls a day, and half of them are probably whack jobs that have nothing to do with this case that just want to talk to him. But he sifts through the information and he listens to these people. The affidavit of the second person that we read said they called Crime Stoppers twice and never got a call back. So I'm not surprised that people come to him. He's been a victim's advocate for so many years. Let's go now to witnesses number 3 and 4.
This has not given a statement yet. The third witness contacted me from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That witness clearly recalls being picked up. She was a street walker. She gets picked up by Rex Heuermann. He in Queens, and he drives, I think, near the big center there in Queens, and he drives her into a park in Flushing, where he makes her keep her head down at all times, commit oral sex, and then he has a pistol in his hand and tells her, "Get out of the car, or I'm going to kill you, and don't do anything except what I tell you to do, or I'm going to kill you." So she gets out of the car, and he tells her, before she does, he tells her, "I want you to pick up another person, another customer." She gets out of the car and immediately pulls up another SUV, and a man driving it, an African-American man, and the guy that picks her up is white, and she gets in the other guy's car, and the driver, Rex Heuermann, follows the car. They go. Finally, get out of the car because she panics and pulls the wheel because she sees a cop car coming. So the cop sees them go jagging off the road, and the cop stops them. The cop then goes back, talks to Rex and the other driver, who gets out and walks back. The cop comes back and tells her, "Lady, if you want to make a complaint, you have to go to the precinct," and drives away. That's her story. She also has no reason. She refuses to come forward. She refuses to have herself identified. I know her name. I know her address. I've given it to the police. They're aware of it, and presumably they're investigating it. You see the pattern. There's a pattern of a guy who likes to play kind of sporting games with the sex workers, chases them, haunts them, hunts them. That's what we're looking at here, we believe, anyway. The fourth witness, and I'll finish on that, she comes from another state, and she's contacted me as well. I have very lengthy notes and recordings of what we discussed. She was a sex worker for many years, back in the time when all of these killings were occurring, and she serviced Rex Heuermann. She said that she would service Rex Heuermann over 20 times, and that he was a serial user of sex workers. He would sometimes have them come 2 at a time to his house, and his wife was home upstairs, and in one instance got very angry at one of the sex workers because the wife believed that the worker had stolen an iron from, for ironing clothes, and had it in the car with the driver. So the driver had to get out. Everybody had to search the car. There was no iron, but the wife knew about it and knew about obviously what was going on in order for that to happen. So she says that in her experience with Heuermann, he was never impolite. He was always nice. He was always funny. He treated her well, and there was no violence. But he certainly had contact with Rex constantly for a period of several years. That's as much as I'm able to tell you. There's plenty of other new evidence, which I think it will take too long at this press conference to discuss. There's plenty of new other evidence that's similar in kind and consistent with the kinds of things that I've just described to you.
Okay. So he says he's got more. Anybody else see the connection between the fact that he used guns during those interactions and the fact that ASA was fighting to get the guns back from Nassau County Police Department, who had seized them, which I said in prior streams, I never thought they would release the guns to her. Not only is there a pending divorce action in which marital property has not been settled, but how do we know these aren't evidence in this crime or some other crimes? Thought that was kind of ridiculous that people thought that she was going to have those guns released to her. And also, in at least 3 of the witness statements, there was some sort of interaction with police of some sort. In the first one, at the Heuermann home, the swinger gathering, the detective brought his girlfriend there and Karen Vergata there. The second one, the cab driver spoke with a police officer at the scene. And then there's another one that I can't think of right now. You guys refresh my recollection. But people have been saying all along that they thought that there was police involvement in some of this stuff. Hi, my miracle Emma. Thank you for your $4.99 super chat. Really enjoy your streams. Will you be doing more of the Maya trial? You are awesome. Yes. And I know I keep saying this, but I think I'm going to schedule for tonight, going over the testimony of the Tori Nias, the woman with the pink shirt. If we can get through that. If anybody knows when Sally Smith is coming in live, if she is, let me know, because I'd like to cover that live. Could be today, because I've been working on this all day and I don't even know. Hi, Monique. If this was truly Shannan, then this means she's interacted with him on at least 3 occasions: the motel room, her apartment, and the final meeting where she was never seen again. Correct? Well, it gives Heuermann a connection to Shannan. We don't know if Heuermann actually did the unaliving of Shannan, but if there was a whole ring of people, which has been suspected on Long Island for quite some time, could give a little more credence to that theory. Hi, Linda. These affidavits are chilling, and I believe both of them. So do I. Brittany, for the people who don't understand why Shannan was running from cops, please think. Yep. Carolyn White, this sounds legit to me from Shannan's phone call and her asking why her driver gave them her name. I think they did a great deal to get her there and do away with her because of the incident at Sayville. Yep, that could be true. Thank you, Talk Defender, for validating me. I'm not crazy. Some people may disagree with you. I don't think I'm crazy either. Let's take a look at Tierney's statement that he gave after this presser, which is interesting because Tierney has been playing very nicely with Rodney Harrison, and this comes as a little bit of a surprise to me. Let me know what you think. Because I thought they were playing nicely together. Look at me, I made my own graphic. Woot woot. I just have to pull up the bigger version now so I can read it to you. And this was from Newsday today. Quote, without providing any advance notice to the prosecutors pursuing this case in court or the Gilgo Beach Homicide Task Force members investigating these murders day in and day out, we watched today's press conference not knowing what was going to be reported. We will continue to investigate this case through the grand jury process and not through press conferences, Tierney said in the statement. Tierney said anyone with potential information should contact law enforcement, including the district attorney's office, police department, or FBI. Quote, any attorneys representing victims or their families by definition have a conflict of interest and should not be part of the investigation. End quote, Tierney said. Let me know what you think about that. First of all, Rodney Harrison is standing there and he is the head of the task force, is he not? He is the one who's investigating this day in and day out. Tierney is the attorney who is going to be trying the case personally against Rex Heuermann when and if it gets to trial. A lot of these witnesses have trust issues with law enforcement because of their occupations or prior occupations and the fact that they may be afraid or may not be taken seriously. Just a thought. Rodney Harrison seems to think that John Ray is helpful to the investigation because he's getting people to talk who otherwise may not want to talk. Be more like Nikki. I think there needs to be more communication between all investigating. I think so too. But I'm surprised that Tierney didn't know about this. But then again, you know, Tierney's been trying to be the face of this investigation when really it's law enforcement who should be the face of it, in my opinion. Caroline Ciano, thank you for being a channel member. Corruption happens to down, not the reverse. Top down, I think is what you meant to say, right? Top down. Oh, you know what? The storm is just starting here. Are you on Long Island? Yeah, I can hear the rain coming down outside. It's pretty crazy. Hi, Cal. Thanks for being a channel member. The clothes don't make the person makes the clothes. That's right. That is right. DC says not one or two cops, many. Linda, I can't wait to see how James Burke may play into this. Gotta agree with you. You know, when I did a live stream the day 9/11, I was in court for the James Burke initial conference. For those of you who are not aware, James Burke was arrested recently at Bald Hill in Farmingville, which is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. In the parking lot, he was initially charged with soliciting a male escort, actually not soliciting him, actually offering the undercover park ranger escort relations, let's say, or an act, during which time he had his pants down. That initial charge was dropped. He's now being charged with public lewdness. And I met John Ray in court that day, and he was very nice and very kind and very sweet. And I like the guy. And I think sometimes suits can be boring. Look, at least he mixes it up, right? Yes, Patty, cutting up seems like a lot of work. Keep here to pound. Kill hot. Yep. Learning what he likes. Yep. It may have gotten to be too much work for him to do the dismembering. And so he decided, you know what? They weren't finding these body parts anyway. What was the point of dismembering? Right? Maybe he decided, well, what's the point? Hudson, the psychology fiend in me says eradicating these women validated ASA in some way, that they meant nothing in the strongest sense. Teresa, I sort of wonder how many cops were involved. Yeah, I think we're all wondering that. I think we've been wondering that for a very, very long time. I'm looking for questions. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat and highlight my name with an @attorney Melanie Little so I can see them better, because it's hard for me to see them in the StreamYard chat because they don't light up. And George Washington, hello. I'm so proud and happy that Police Commissioner Harrison is smart enough to listen to Ray and further this investigation. Yeah, and apparently they have a lot of other information too. It was also reported in Newsday today that they are and have been interviewing several escorts who are currently incarcerated in Suffolk County Jail and getting seemingly a lot of information from those additional witnesses. So we'll see what continues to happen in this case, whether he can be connected to more of these victims, but it seems like we're getting somewhere. To go back to the list of victims, and if we go back to all the Manorville butcher cases, which everybody's been saying there's no way he's involved in that because that's not his MO. I beg to differ now if they're connecting him with Karen Vergata, whose legs washed up on Fire Island in 1996. Remember, also in 1997, Peaches was found. She has still not been identified. Partial remains were found in Hempstead Lake State Park. Then in September of 2000, Valerie Mack, who was 24, also known as Jane Doe number 6, she was last seen in the spring or summer of 2000. In September of 2000, her torso was found in Manorville in the woods. And if you remember, one of the affidavits that we read, or maybe two, said, we're going for a drive in the woods. I'm taking you into the woods. Jessica Taylor, in July of 2003, also known as Jane Doe number 5, her torso was found in the woods in Manorville, Long Island. And then we have Maureen Brainerd Barnes, who went missing in September of 2007, who is one of what we call the GILGO 4, who he has not been indicted on yet. The victims, and we have to remember this is always about the victims, this show, no matter how much we talk about the defendant and the other evidence in the case, our thoughts and prayers are always with the families of the victims. Melissa Barthelemy, Shannan Gilbert, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Jessica Taylor, Valerie Mack, Peaches. There was remains of an Asian man that were also found along Ocean Parkway. Those remains were found April of 2011. Jessica Taylor's skull was found along Ocean Parkway in March of 2011. There was also a toddler's remains who were found same day as the Asian male was found, April 4th, 2011. The toddler remains were later confirmed through DNA to be the daughter of Peaches. The body of Peaches was found that same day, and also on April 4th of 2011. That is the same day that Karen Vergata, her skull was found. So while her legs were found in 96, her skull was not found until 15 years later. It would not be until December of 2011 that Shannan Gilbert's body would be found. Crazy. Hello, Tara. All of this is why I think the wife is involved, or she knows a lot and hasn't said anything. You know, I think they said way too early that they ruled her out as a suspect. Her hair was found on 3 of the GILGO 4 bodies, a strand of hair. Everybody's been talking that it's transfer evidence. People shed a lot of hair, could have gotten there any which way. Could have also gotten there because she was there. Could have also gotten there because these other victims, like Karen Vergata, were also in the house. Could be that she knew about his sexual proclivities, let's say, and his lifestyle, but did not know about the unalivings. That could be true. Law enforcement has said they've checked her passport and she was out of the country. I believe she was from Iceland during the time that 3 of these unalivings occurred, but we don't know the exact dates that they occurred. I mean, we know the dates that they went missing. But considering that the remains and bodies weren't found for quite some time, how can you pinpoint the exact date of the unalivings? Teresa, yes, Peaches was thought to be black. Yes. And what was not mentioned in the affidavit of the swinger is that she was also, or is also, African-American. And she thought, and it's not in the affidavit, but Ray says it at the presser, that ASA did not want to have relations with her because she was African-American, black. So yes, Mazzy, it is so heartbreaking, these poor victims. Hello, Dog Defender. What are my thoughts on the DA? Can he be taken off this case? No, I don't think so. I don't know what reason they would have to take him off the case. But I will say that I think Michael Brown, who's the defense attorney for Heuermann, is excellent. I have, in my other live streams I've covered press conferences with him, and I find him to be a formidable opponent, let's say. So it's too bad, but in New York, they're very strict with cameras in courtrooms, and I don't think that the Heuermann trial, when and if it happens, will be televised, but because that is going to be quite the showdown. Quite the showdown, yes. Okay, George Washington is bringing this up, which I forgot to mention. We know that James Burke is bisexual, and we now know that Rex Heuermann is. This is another possible connection to the male-bodied trans victim on GILGO, yes, and also connection to perhaps each other. Perhaps. Hello, Kathy. Is Tierney getting nervous for some reason? That's why the press conference, to impede any shenanigans. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Tara thinks they're all related. Thank you. Hi, Grace. Melanie knows how to connect the dots. I've been connecting the dots for a long time. Nobody's wanted to listen to me. People are telling me that I'm crazy. That's why I had to start my own channel, because I need you. I need you people. I need you people. I don't want to say you people. That's from the Maya trial. You guys, my friends, to tell me that I'm not crazy, that I'm not living in the Twilight Zone. Some of my streams are called Help Me Understand, because sometimes I think I'm living in the Twilight Zone and I'm the only one who sees things a certain way. Why would you accept a ride into the woods? I wouldn't. You know, people have this impression of Long Island as being a very urban area, and it's not. On one of the live streams that I did where I was driving to court, because I've been to 2 of Rex Heuermann's court appearances and I sat in the courtroom, I did a video, like a dash cam kind of video, on my way to court, right past Manorville, and on the Long Island Expressway, even going, you know, from exit 68 to exit 70, it's very desolate. It's woods on either side. This is not an urban area. And also Ocean Parkway at night, there are no streetlights there. The residents, there are very few, of Oak Beach have fought streetlights for years. So if you're driving down Ocean Parkway in the middle of the night, it is pitch black. Pitch black, and it's a scary ride at night if you're by yourself. I'll tell you that. Hello, Tracy McCardle. Agree entirely with your analysis on the case and Vinny's show. I've seen several shows with derisive takes on affidavits, but appreciate you and Joe Jacalone's balanced analytical review in light of history. Thank you. I like Vinny. And I like his show. And it's not just Court TV, it's News Nation too. I don't know where they are getting these quote experts from. I don't know. This is interesting, Yellow Jelly Bean. Ms. ASA, mail order bride. Maybe she turned her head to keep her citizenship. It's interesting, you know, in my investigation of this case and my research, because you guys know I do my research and my due diligence, the house where all of this occurred, where the Heuermann family still resides, except for Rex, because he resides in the Suffolk County Jail, on First Street in Massapequa Park. And if you watch Duty Ron's channel, he's driven by the house a couple times. He's got some video from outside the house. That was the house that Rex grew up in, and it was his mother's house, and he purchased that house in 1994. He and ASA were married in 1996, I believe in April. So the timeline tracks with the Karen Vergata being Valentine's Day of 96. They were probably either living together in the house, but he definitely lived in the house because he bought it in 94. Hi, Kirsten. I think we already discussed my views on her being involved. Too early to tell, but we know that she was involved in the lifestyle, shall we say. Hello, Perspective Matters. Has Huerman been investigated for a potential role in the West Mesa, New Mexico murders? Similar alleged MO and as yet unsolved. I'm going to have to take a deep dive into that one. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. But I did look into the New Bedford highway killings in Massachusetts, which I had a thought that he might be involved in. And if I go back to my notes, I think those were in the 90s. I think, if anybody knows. The eastbound strangler cases were between October and November of 2006. Those are the ones that I was talking about in Atlantic City. And I do not see if I have those New Bedford highway killings in this same exact set of notes that I am looking at right now, because that was for a different show that I have not put together yet. Thank you for reminding me. Somebody in the chat just said that ASA's lawyer also gave a statement. Yeah, so Huerman's attorney, Michael Brown, could not be reached for comment. But Bob Macedonio, who is representing Huerman's estranged wife, ASA Ellerup, said, quote, "This is a desperate attempt by Johnny Ray to stay relevant in a case that he's been chasing his tail on for 12 years. On behalf of ASA Ellerup, we unequivocally deny the outlandish and ludicrous claims being made." That sounds exactly like a statement he gave last time, which was about 2 months ago, when John Ray talked about this initially, but wouldn't give the names of the witnesses to Cuomo. So I don't know. It looks like they're saying this is a recent statement, but I don't know. Hello, Judith Lyons. I'm not sure how involved ASA was, but I can't imagine being a single mother with a disabled son living in a foreign country with a scary mountain of a man. Yeah, I mean, that witness says that it seemed to her that ASA was afraid of Rex. We've done other shows about it too, and we think there may have been some sort of very toxic relationship going on between them. So we're obviously not going to know what she knew about the unalivings, if anything, or whether she was involved. It's way too early to tell. Yes, Tara, there were phone calls taunting the victims' families. I believe that Melissa Barthelomy's phone was used to call her 15-year-old sister and say horrible things to her. But then the phone calls that you're talking about, I think, were made to someone else. If anybody in the chat wants to chime in on that. I'm not sure that those were the ones that were made to Melissa Barthelomy's sister. Calla Lily says John Ray received pizza from Rex also. Hi, Rochella, one of my mods and also a channel member. Thank you so much for just being you. Always found that original reason bogus. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Probably something in the chat. Sandy says that house, eek, you couldn't pay me to live there generations from now, right? Yeah, interesting. Interesting too that he wanted to keep that house. Who knows what was there that he didn't want anyone to find. It's also very close to a very large preserve. And there's been reports that somebody in the house may have been a hoarder. It seemed to be very, very cluttered. And also that the first generation green Chevy Avalanche was still in the family because he gave it to his brother, Craig, who has a very similar description to Rex, by the way, and lives in South Carolina. And the police have seized that vehicle. And it'd be crazy if there was still some forensic evidence in there. We don't know about that yet because we have not seen it. Hello, Gadsden Freedom Outdoors, also former retired, actually, law enforcement. They released too much info too early. Now other people involved know too much. That's an interesting take on this. You know, I did hear that Jimmy Burke's house was up for sale and that he was moving to Florida, although his criminal case is still pending in Suffolk County for the public lewdness and indecent exposure. So he's going to have to at least come back for that. Hello, Peter Pranzo, also retired law enforcement and an amazing moderator. Yep, lots of missteps by early Suffolk County PD, some cover-ups and more. New regime saying too much. Yep. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sandy, for letting me be your favorite YouTuber. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you while we are here. Let's just leave a little thumbs up down below. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. If you would like the video, that would be very helpful to the YouTube algorithm so that this very important information will get out to more people. If you would also like to subscribe because you like what you're hearing, the subscribe button is also free. You can hit that below and make sure that you hit the bell set to all notifications. So that way you will be advised when I go live and you will never miss a thing. I put out a video in the middle of the night about the updates on Ruby Frankie, if anybody is interested in that, because there's so many stories breaking me right now. There's so many stories breaking right now. It's hard to cover all of them live. So I wanted to do this one live because I'm a Long Islander. I know a lot of you are Long Islanders, and we have been saying this for years and nobody would listen to us. Maybe somebody will listen to us now. I don't know. Not mainstream media, or at least the legal channels, but Core TV, News Nation. Nobody wants to believe it, but I believe it. And I'm here for you. I know you guys believe it too. So thank you to all my moderators for keeping the chat classy. Thank you to all of my viewers, all of my subscribers, all of my channel members, and to all of my replay viewers. I appreciate you so much. And I will see you again real soon. I love respectful debate. Please feel free to leave comments. I do go through them. I do respond to them. And just be nice. Be nice. Oh, wait, here's my sign. Hold on. Be nice or leave. Thank you. All right. I'll see you guys real soon. Have a great day.